Thank you. I want to just share with you this evening 3 Bible verses in the hope that these in some way speak into the hearts of one of them, each, hopefully, something. This morning we were talking about if we were trying to get ready for some major sports tournament or something next summer, what the regime of training and eating and sleeping and resting and everything would be like. And can that be translated into what it's like to go on this journey with Jesus, of growing into godliness in our faith? What are some of the things we might need to put in? And we'll pursue these probably for weeks, I imagine. But I did mention this morning that you have to buy into the regime of training. The athlete that we were talking about, Laura, had to buy in with the coach and the team as yes, this is what I want to do. So, from Mark chapter 3, this is called the choosing of the 12. Jesus went up on a mountainside and called to him those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12 that they might be with him. He called to him those he wanted, and they came to him. And he appointed 12 that they might be with him. It's good to remember at the beginning of any season or the beginning of a new adventure in faith or journey or pilgrimage or walk with Jesus or a deepening of our faith or booking ourselves in for a course of study or whatever it is. It's good to remember that Jesus called us to this, that he wanted us, and he wanted us to be with him. That's what it means to be a disciple, to be with the discipler, the rabbi, the teacher, to be with them. The song we learnt last Sunday in the all-age service, the chorus said, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, right? It was every one of us is the you, every one of us is the number one in God's heart. And it's good to remember that. A couple of years back, when Harold Miller was our bishop, Harold had been on the staff of the theological college that Janice and I went to in Nottingham, and we had a lecturer there, a teacher, who went on to become the principal of the college, and she was incredibly, wonderfully of God and clever and theological and all of those things. But she and Harold were very good friends, and I'm thinking she was retiring or something like that, but he'd invited her over to Belfast for a few days, and we got a phone call to invite us to come out for dinner with Harold and Liz and Christina, who was the principal, and a professor from Trinity College Dublin who'd also been to the college in Nottingham. And it was lovely, wasn't it? They took us to Dean's at Queen's, so it was a nice meal as well. But it was the feeling of, do you really want us to be at that? So he's never wanted me to be at anything else, ever. But you really want us to, and you're going to pay for us? Wow, you want us to be with you. When we're singing our next wee bunch of songs, would you take a wee moment or two? Close your eyes. I was practicing this earlier this afternoon. I was just thinking about this, and I was sitting on a settee in our house, and I thought what I would do tonight at this moment, so if this is helpful, I would put my hand down on the seat, because I know that sometimes when I used to sit down beside my mum, or if I went into hospital and somebody's unconscious but their hand is out, you would always reach over and just rest your hand, wouldn't you, on their hand? So that's what I'm going to do this evening when I sit down again during some of the songs, is put my hand on the seat and in a faith imagination, just hear Jesus saying, I want you to be with me. And let him put his hand on your hand. And just rest in those moments of, he's chosen us, you and you and you and you and you, to be with him. That's where the story begins. Another great wee one. And it's John, who was also one of the disciples. This is the Last Supper. This is in John chapter 13. And it says they've been talking about things. They're at the meal. And it says, after he said this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and testified, "Very truly, I tell you, one of you is going to betray me." You can imagine the hush around the table. One of us. His disciples stared at one another, at a loss to know which of them he meant. One of them, the disciple whom Jesus loved, that's probably John who wrote this, who was a young fellow, possibly even a teenager. One of them, the disciple whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to Jesus. And Simon Peter, who was the kind of noisy one of the group, motioned to this disciple and said, Ask him which one he means." And I'm thinking John's heart sinks and thinks, "Oh, me? Ask him which one he means." Anyway, it says that John leaned back against Jesus because he was sitting very close and asked, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus told him. But it doesn't say that he told the rest. So there's another wee thing for us to do this evening, is if whether we're standing or sitting, could you just lean towards Jesus? Imagine him sitting with you, standing with us, moving around among us. Just lean in and whisper the wee questions that we have. Why? Why is it like this? Why is it so difficult? Am I on my own facing this? But be like described as the disciple whom Jesus loved. Just to lean in and say, "Lord, could I whisper something to you tonight that no one else is going to hear?" The third one is the calling of Matthew. It's in Matthew chapter 9. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he said to Matthew. Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus, there must be a wee gap in there of time because the next thing is in Matthew's house for dinner. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, wow. Two wee thoughts on that one. One is that Matthew must have been so excited at the thought of Jesus wanting him to be his friend and wanting to become one of the disciples, go on this training course to become whatever it was they were going to become. They wouldn't have known much of what it was they were going to become, but they were going to change the world through us and through the church all over the world. But he was so pleased and excited about this that he said, "Jesus, you really ought to come round to my house for dinner tonight and you'll meet all my friends." I wonder later on when his friends started arriving, did he think, "Oh no, he's going to meet all my friends"? Yeah, because his friends weren't nice people. In fact, some of these were awful people because tax collectors were used by the Roman authorities really to oppress and hurt and like physically hurt sometimes the local Israelites. I'm sure Jesus' disciples were a bit nervous being at this meal, looking at the people sitting around them. But Matthew seems gloriously free. He seems so welcomed or so free in the presence of Jesus that he's quite happy to let Jesus say, "Look, this is it. If you get me, you get this. This is all part of it." So there's another wee thing we could maybe whisper to Jesus tonight, or maybe just say it to him. Yeah. We can tell him about the things that nobody else knows about. The things that reside in here. And that maybe aren't the best things. You know what? He wants us to be with him. He's not going to be put off by the friends we keep, by the thoughts we harbour, by the ambitions and the greeds and all the things that rumble around inside of us. He wants us to be with him. So he already knows, but he wouldn't mind having a chat with us about some of them. So feel free just to say those things to him. And you know what? When you feel condemned And when the enemy says to you, you see, you are a rotten person, how can you possibly be any good for Jesus? It's Jesus that speaks up on behalf of Matthew. Matthew doesn't have to try to justify having these friends. Jesus speaks up and says, I'm here because I'm here for those who need healing and those who need new hope and who need new life. And when we feel guilty about maybe the things we hide about ourselves, allow Jesus to speak up on our behalf and say, remember, I chose to be with you and I know everything about you, but I still choose to be with you. So I'll not repeat all of that, but would you, as we sing some more songs, as we rest in this place, in this time, maybe we could respond to the Lord with some of that, or any of that, or anything else you would like to. Let's be still for a wee moment, and then these ones will jump up, and you can stand, sit, whatever you feel like. Okay. Lord Jesus, would you just walk among us in that amazing way that only you can? Would you be near to each one of us? Listen to each one of us. Maybe even talk to each one of us.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, He is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, He is my song. That You are good, good.